ready to get inspired. This is the Go4TheGoldy podcast.
Hey there, and welcome to episode 38 of the Go4TheGoldy podcast. Today's guest is joining me from Grandville, Michigan. Give it up for content creator extraordinaire, Alec Martelle. Alec, thanks for joining me tonight. What's happening, brother?
Oh, nothing much. Just enjoying the super muggy-ass weather that we got going on here in Michigan right now.
What's happening in Michigan? Fill me in. I'm down here in Texas, so I have no idea what's going on up there.
Okay, so us Michiganders, we're just kind of, used to the cold and whatnot. But the problem is that when it gets to the summer season, it just spikes up like 30 degrees. So
Okay.
we went for like the last few weeks, it's been a rise and fall of going from kind of like the 65 upper, like 70-ish range, and then it would jump to 80, then jump back down to kind of like the 65 again, and then now today it was like probably 91 and humid.
Oh my God! Yeah, you guys get the humidity up there.
It was bad. Yeah, surrounded by the lakes. That's what we get.
Well, I'm originally from Buffalo, so I feel your pain. It's very similar weather.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I moved down to Texas about 3 years ago, and it literally has rained for like a month here, but I think we're finally out of it. It's going to be a heat index of like 105 here on Friday and Saturday, so yeah, it's hot down here.
Okay. I'll pass on that. But do you have like the dry heat, I'm assuming?
It's been really
For the
muggy
most part.
here for some reason. It's been weird. Houston usually gets that, but up here, I'm in Dallas, so I showed you the Cowboys pictures. But Dallas usually isn't too humid, so it's kind of out of character. It's just been a weird year with COVID and everything. I think everything's just decided to be weird,
Yeah. You guys even got snow, which is like unheard of. So.
Oh, we got hammered with snow, and what happened was in Texas, the pipes aren't like prepared for that. So once everything started to warm up, everything like our apartment flooded because everything just started to thaw out. And we were out the one night. We came home, and our apartment was just underwater, and we were like, "Oh God, here we go."
Oh jeez.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks of
I'm
nonsense. Sorry. Yeah, people had it much worse. Good, luckily, and this is a Go4TheGoldy podcast tip right here for all you listening. We didn't even think about this, but we're attached to a hospital, so we never lost power.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you when you're looking for a house,
That's
make sure that you're like attached to the grid of like a police station or a fire department or a hospital because you'll never lose power. So there's your tip for the day.
That's an excellent idea.
Yeah, I just
like that.
obviously we just stumbled upon that, but yeah, we're taking that in mind now when we go to buy a house.
Sounds good.
So, all right, let's get to it, Alec. Tell us a little bit about you, man. The floor is yours.
Ooh, okay, and feel free to stop me if I'm rambling because this is like that one question where I get going.
Go ahead,
So,
let it rip, baby.
I okay, perfect. I have a bachelor's degree in digital animation and game design. I'm 28, live in Grandville, Michigan, like we said. Been here my whole life. I work full-time as we actually got this new title. It's a learning experience developer. So what I do is for my full-time job is I create e-learning or digital content creation courses or animations that we give to our clients that they give to their employees. So it could be anything from new employee training to how to sell products. It could be
That's
anything,
so cool.
really.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah. And then for the content creation side, I've been started my own podcast in February, and I'm just kind of taking a little break on that. It's called Rapid Chatter, and just taking like a month break to batch record a bunch of episodes. And once I get kind of settled into that, then I'll go on to other things, I think, too.
So what's your podcast about?
It's kind of like I don't have a niche for it quite yet. It's more of like a variety show where I just have people on and we just talk about whatever. And it could be video games, anime. Like I interviewed a couple of friends on their metal bands and like how that's been going, like recording music in the pandemic and how that's been.
Nice.
So it's kind of like encompasses a wide variety of things.
Yeah, I love that.
I got too many interests.
Oh man, yeah. I can't even. Don't even get me started. I always say that there's just, the stupid cliche. There's not enough time in a day. I mean, there's not enough time in my life for what I want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I have a to-do list that I write down every day. I read this book called what was it called? I think it was in The Compound Effect, and one of the quotes I took away from it, like, winners are trackers. And because if you are someone like you or me who's just, has so many interests and hobbies and stuff, it's so easy, especially nowadays in the age of the internet and cell phones, to just get lost in nonsense that I have to I have to make a to-do list on a daily basis, like bam, 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 because otherwise, you don't get everything that you want to get done. And then, you feel like you're missing out on a lot of things that you're interested in. I don't know if you feel that way too, but that's definitely how I feel.
Oh, yeah, because I'm a huge gamer and I love just watching anime and stuff like that too. So I'll be like, oh man, I just really want to kind of escape reality and play a game or whatever. And then 3 hours go by. I'm like,
So I mean, you could totally tell, man, about your setup is legitimate. I like that chair. What kind of chair is that right there?
Okay, so I'm gonna take you on a kind of a little bit of a story time here.
Love it. Let's go.
This chair is like a Staples brand. So like the Office Max or Staples.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is like their brand of a gaming chair. And when I lived in an apartment, somebody had this chair by the dumpster.
Come on.
And yeah. And all that was missing was the casters. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that's an easy fix. I already got a spare office chair in the apartment that I could just take the casters off and put it on this one.
Yeah.
Turns out one of the peg holes or whatever is broken. So I'm like, okay, well, the caster won't stay in there. So I call Staples and get a hold of the manufacturer, get the manufacturer number, call that number, say, hey, I need some replacement parts for this. Can I just order them? And they're like, oh, is there a warranty still on the chair? I'm like, yeah, let me look under the chair. I'm like, okay, it says March 2019. They're like, oh yeah, it still has like a 6-year warranty on it. So we'll just send you the parts for free. And
oh, hell yeah.
They're like, is anything else wrong or missing with it? I'm like, well, it's missing a lumbar pillow too. And I could use like this and that. And he's like, okay.
That's amazing.
Got a free chair.
Wow. That's, kudos to you. You did it the right way, man.
Yeah.
I'm looking for one.
My garbage gaming chair.
My chair sucks. Mine was from my old job when they sent us home, in the pandemic, and just kind of roll with that.
Yeah.
So what kind of games do you play? What kind of games do you like?
I'm a big RPG fan, so I play those kind of mainly, but I'm also a huge fan of like any third-person, really story-driven game like Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2. Those are some of my favorites. Played Assassin's Creeds back in the day, too. But I also like my first-person shooters. I'm kind of all over the place.
That's
dropping in the war zone here and there. So
you know what you want. I'll tell you, man. I feel like. So you said you're 28, I'm 34, and I'm a gamer too, but I'm like the other end of the spectrum. I'm like all the Mario franchise games. Like that's the kind of shit that I'm obsessed with.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like platformers and.
Yeah, exactly. Like yeah. I mean, Paper Mario is a bit of an RPG kind of game, but.
Yes.
Yeah. So I play that. I play a bunch of different, basically the Mario franchise, because I have so many different things going on outside of my life. I need to like focus on that on like one kind of game,
That's fair.
What you said a lot of the games. Obviously, I'd assume you stream a lot of that stuff, right?
Yeah, I've been kind of rebooting my Twitch channel and streaming stuff. I've been kind of in this phase of like, where should I focus on streaming? Like, should I do here? Should I do there? Because it's every platform's got its pros and cons.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my goal once I get done batch recording a bunch of episodes for the podcast, is kind of switching over to that and kind of getting that all sorted, because I really like what you do too, even with streaming the podcast as well. I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, because if people want to jump in and talk, I like to make it interactive. It's like I'm a nobody, so it's not like I'm going to get people in here, hazing me or trolling me or whatever.
Right. That's
maybe someday if we get huge, we'll have to turn the comments off.
Yeah.
But for the time being, I just like engaging with people, and it's
Yeah.
live questions is always cool. So with your streaming and stuff. So what's funny is how I got into streaming is pretty stupid. The pandemic last year, I got furloughed in May. So May 1st of last year, they're like, you got until at least August to just kind of like chill, and I'm like, all right. So like we're talking about, is if you got a million different hobbies, it's like now it's go time, baby. Like I'm getting funded to like
now's the time.
exactly. So I just let it rip, and that's when I told you I got a laptop last year, and I didn't. I had a Switch, which I had just bought, but I was real into this ridiculous game. I've mentioned this in the show before. It's called Jerry Rice and Nidus Dog Football. It's a ridiculous premise for a game. It's Jerry Rice, the greatest wide receiver of all time, and his dog that is probably dead now because the game was made like 12 years ago. It's him, and it's just like a bunch of like the quarterback is a character, and all the players are dogs. And it's just a goofy caricature game. And I'm like, what? I'm going to stream this. Like, I'm just going to figure out how to hook up my Wii, stream it, and, like, just be goofy with it. And I just started doing that. Well, I was at the pool one day with my buddy, and he's like, dude, I know you're streaming, and, like, you're putting a lot of effort into this. But he's like, people don't want to watch that. Like, he's like, people want to watch if, like, you're good at something, or, like if you're a professional comedian, they don't even, like, get, they're like, you got to have some kind of. So then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? I am a high-level triathlete, and I found this game called Zwift, where you can ride if you notice the bike behind me, that's my actual bike that I race in, but it's on a stand, and I ride it indoors, and all my computers on the bike match up to this game called Zwift. So there's like an avatar of, me riding, and you can race, you can do different kinds of workouts, they have events all the time. And it's a category on Twitch that's like, it's kind of like in the sweet spot right now where like I basically know most of the people in the community just by streaming it, and we all work together. And like I just did a charity stream last week with a bunch of Twitch. We called it Switch.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So then so it escalated pretty quickly, and I became a Twitch affiliate within a couple months. And
Dang.
I got to get
awesome.
back. Yeah, I got to get back into it. But so with your streaming, I know you said you kind of took a hiatus from it, with the podcast and everything. I'd love to talk about your digital animations because selfishly, that's something that I'm like interested in. So when you say digital animations, like what exactly does that like entail?
Yeah. So when I went to school, I kind of ironically, we did like in terms of digital animation. Then I did a lot of 3D modeling and 3D animations, so stuff like that. So it was mostly all done in 3ds Max, which is like where you would build 3D models and animate in there. But then you could export them out to Premiere and After Effects and kind of do whatever you want with that. Ironically enough, my job now doesn't do much with game design, but I've been getting a lot into kind of like the 2D side of animation with After Effects and Premiere and stuff. So that would be kind of more of the digital animation that I'm talking about.
I love that stuff. Have you ever heard of Ice Cream Sandwich? Have you come across that guy yet?
That name sounds vaguely familiar, and I'm not sure why. I feel like I've heard of it or read it somewhere.
His stuff's like really, really popular on YouTube, and it's just he just makes goofy animated videos, but they're freaking hilarious. And
okay, I'll write that down.
Yeah, Ice Cream Sandwich.
Would want to check out.
Also, just a heads up, what I like to do for everyone that I have on the show is in the notes afterwards, I'm going to put all your links and stuff, anything that's relevant to you. So anyone who listens to this can,
sweet.
Yeah, go head over to your YouTube or your Twitch or whatever. So just make sure you send those when we're done, and I'll make sure to put them in the show notes for you. All right?
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So, what's the coolest thing you've worked on as far as like your animations, or what's the thing that you're most proud of something that you've done?
I would say, as far as like a work related one, we have a client where all of the work that we've done for them is edit and create animations for them and for their independent business owners so they can properly sell products and learn how to communicate, all types of stuff. And those animations involve a lot of characters, and I've never animated 2D characters before, ever. So I was like, well, I've animated 3D characters, but 2D, that's a little bit different. So that was a whole learning experience, and we've had them as a client for, I think, almost 4 years now. So obviously we're doing something right. But I would say that's what I'm most proud of is working inside After Effects, which I only had a semester's worth of teaching in college with it, because it was, with the nature of our program, After Effects wasn't a very focused program to learn. So I would say that's probably my proudest accomplishment.
That's really cool.
Aspect.
Now, is After Effects is After Effects a part of the like Adobe platform, or is it something separate?
Correct.
It's part of the Adobe. Okay.
Oh, yep. Yeah. It's part of the Adobe suite. So if you buy the Adobe suite or subscribe to it now, unfortunately, it's in there, and it's basically just, if you're familiar with Premiere, which is just kind of like a more straightforward video editing program. After Effects is like if Photoshop and Illustrator and Premiere had a baby, because you can do a lot of different really crazy effects in there, and it can get real nuts.
Yeah. See, I taught myself about 2 months ago. It was 2 months now. Because I YouTube is what interests me the most of all the platforms. I love YouTube just because, believe it or not, I started a podcast and I do all the streaming and stuff like that, but I'm pretty introverted. So I like the idea of like controlling the content that you put out there. You know what I mean?
Oh, I feel you.
Yeah. So that's what I think. That's my biggest intrigue to it too. And I started like thinking about, like you said, as far as like games and what to focus on and all this kind of stuff. It's pretty easy to be, scatterbrained, and it starts to become haphazard, your approach, and then no one wants to interact with you because you're all over the place. It's like, what's this guy doing? He's just a wild card all the time. So I'm trying to be more focused, and I am being more focused in everything that I do now. But with YouTube, I like the idea of just having the more purposeful type stuff. It's not off the seat of your cuff, or off the seat of your pants, like something like this is. And I just taught myself Rush. That's the first thing that I've taught myself, because I had to learn how to, create videos. Would you have a suggestion, like, because Photoshop, I guess, really doesn't have, would you use Photoshop too often in like video editing, or what would you say like would be a more natural progression to like a next thing I should learn?
Oh yeah. So yeah, if you're using Rush, that's probably a really good place to start, because I don't have much experience with Rush, because that kind of came out after I experienced all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But I would say for you, the next step, if you're using Rush, is probably to go to Premiere, because that would probably be the next step up in terms of complexity. If you want to even get crazier, then I would say After Effects would be your next thing. And then that's when you can get to where you're bridging Premiere and After Effects together, because then you can like make templates in Premiere and import them into After Effects, or vice versa. So you can.
Okay.
Yeah. The advantages of Premiere over After Effects is that with Premiere you can scrub through your video and like play it in real time. After Effects is a little bit, it bogs itself down with how much stuff it has to render out, so you can't get real time playback the way you would in Rush or Premiere. So it's kind of like a give and take with some of that stuff. And yeah.
So what you're saying is I'm gonna have to get a better computer, because I just have a pretty crappy laptop right now.
Yeah. If you want to get up to After Effects, unfortunately, that's where things get nuts. But it depends on the complexity of your project too. So if you're doing like I would say Premiere is probably where you would want to cap yourself out at for
nice. Now. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I appreciate that. Well, we're actually moving next week or in 2 weeks because right now, this is like our bedroom's kind of a weird shape. So I have this little cove back here, but it's my bedroom. So if I wake up early to, ride my bike or, I want to I do a lot of like gameplay stuff too, or at least I'm getting into it, recording, like complete game walkthroughs and stuff like that.
Oh, yes.
If I get up to do that kind of stuff, my fiance doesn't want to get up at like 5 a.m., so I'm in here just, making a racket. And like my stream, the charity stream I did a couple weeks ago, it was from 4 to 7 a.m. on Friday morning. And, I'm just waking up. I'm up at 3:15. I'm screaming on the bike, making a scene because for charity. So I was doing all kinds of, random things so
Sure.
We're moving to another apartment. We're going to get a 2-bedroom one. So the second bedroom is literally for our streaming stuff. So maybe I'll dive into Premiere at that point.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So, with all the games that you stuff with all the games and stuff that you play, which one's your favorite? I know it's like asking to ask like, what's your favorite kid right now?
Yeah, basically. I would say my off the cuff answer is probably Last of Us Part 2 right now. It's a very controversial game because of the story and decisions that they made. I don't know how familiar you are with it. But
I'm not at all. So please explain it to me like I'm 4 years old.
Okay, gotcha. Got it. So it's Last of Us 1 is that game where it's like a post-apocalyptic survival-ish game where in the first one, it's about how this guy who lost his daughter ends up meeting this girl where she's like really young and she is actually immune to this virus that decimated humanity. And what's cool about it is it's like a fungal virus and it just like attaches itself to the brain, yada, yada, yada. And over the course of the game, they become really connected. And then for Last of Us Part 2, I guess I'll spoil it because I don't know if you'll ever play it.
Spoiler alert. All right. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler. But it affected me a lot at the time because my mother-in-law at the time was like passing away.
Oh,
and in the Last of Us Part 2, that character that rescued her and was with her throughout this entire course of this game, he ends up getting killed. So it's all about like a revenge story of her tracking down these people that killed that person, and then she's dealing with the grief because there's a lot of things that she left unsaid, and yeah, it's a whole thing. But
damn,
it's a very emotional. It's a very emotional and just a really dire game, but it's like fun at the same time because it's like everything's super smooth, gameplay mechanics are great, and it's just it's a lot.
Yeah,
but
that's why, man. I got too much going on. I can't be emotionally invested in these games. Mario's got to save the princess. Boom, we're done.
Yes, there you go. Yep.
So
while I'm sitting here crying.
Yeah, that's some pretty intense stuff, man. When did you start streaming? How long have you been doing it for?
Oh, so I think it's been probably about 3 years ago is when I first dipped my toes in it.
Okay.
And then over this past like 6 months or so, I've been kind of like rebranding stuff and like getting more into the weeds of like OBS and trying to use all the stream alerts and getting used to that and like making a custom overlay and just kind of getting my brand down because I was like I went through probably 3 or 4 usernames because I just couldn't find something that I clicked with, and I finally landed on one because I'm addicted to coffee. So I put Ghoul for coffee, so it's kind of like Fool for coffee. But
yeah, I like that was you told me to you sent that to me. Oh, for your YouTube. That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just kind of started then. When I first started streaming, it was just because I actually didn't have a super great computer at the time either. So I would just stream directly from my PS4. And then I did a thing where I would use remote play. So I was streaming it over to my computer and then streaming it from there to Twitch.
Holy cow.
So it was like super highly compressed like video because it was streaming to like 3 different places.
Right.
But that's how I got like to at least have overlays and be able to kind of see chat better because I was able to have both of those on at the same time. But now that I got like a better laptop and an extra monitor, it's been making it a little bit easier.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you, I think there's too many people out there that want to stream or like have thought about it, and there's a lot of hesitancies because it's like, where do I start? Or like, I want to make sure that it looks good before. Just start. Just you don't have to know what you're doing.
Yes.
Most of us still don't know what we're doing. I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more because that's what held me back for so long on creating content is just that fear of failing or having imposter syndrome or just thinking I'm going to suck at it or whatever. But I've been really trying to incorporate something my instructor said like to our class a long time ago, and that was fail fast and fail often, because without failing, you won't learn.
Yeah.
And so the more time you fail and the earlier you'll fail, the better your content will be, or whatever you're doing will be better.
I love that. So. And I think with when I you know, as an athlete, as you know, with triathlon and everything I do, I listen to all these like YouTube videos, and I think there's I think it's Will Smith. I've never even, it's just like a collage of like people's quotes with music behind it. And one of the Will Smith quotes, he's like, I get frustrated with people's relationship with failure, because he's like, some of the most successful people that you'll ever meet have failed more than you will in your entire life. And it's and it's, I think it's along the lines of what you're saying. And that imposter syndrome thing is real, man. The hardest part for me, I think, doing this was looking at myself in the camera and just hearing myself. It's a bizarre situation.
Yeah.
I never, like, my accent, I don't really hear it too often, but people will just be like, where the hell are you from? Are you a pirate? You know, because they'll say, like, car and bar and stuff like that. But it's, and also, too, I think you're right. The feel failure of, like, putting yourself out on social media and stuff like that, where people you know are going to see it, and you know people are talking about you. You know people are making fun of you, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there's...
I was more scared to share my podcast on Facebook to my Facebook friends than I was just to, like, people I've met on Twitter. Like,
yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I agree with you, man. That's when I, you know, one of my friends from back home, I was talking to him, and he's like, so what are you up to? And I'm like, well, I started a podcast. It's going pretty well. And he's like, of course you did. Like, real condescending. You know what I mean? Like, do you get, like, it's not easy, nor is it's not easy, like, technically, but also just, you know, to put yourself out there and be vulnerable. It's not something that most people would do. So I listen to Rogan a lot, and he always just says, if you're thinking about doing a podcast, go do a podcast. Like, don't stop yourself before you even start. You know, that's too many people are doing that. And
yeah.
And it goes with anything. You know, just if you want to do something, just go do it. You know, like I actually posted right before I came online on Instagram. I went swimming right before. I was telling you I was going swimming before we came here, and you know, I didn't feel like swimming, and you know, I said after though I posted a picture of me swimming, and I said, you know, no one ever worked out and said, man, I'm sorry, I'm pissed off that I worked out today. Like, and that goes with like everything. I think, you know, it's like if you're really wanting to do something, then just go do it. If you fail, you failed, but you know you failed doing something that you wanted to do. You know.
Yep. Yeah, and I have a feeling that most people that the satisfaction that you would get from completing whatever that thing is would greatly outweigh whatever fear of failure that you had before doing it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It just feels so good, like getting something done, whether that's a workout, completing a woodworking project, or just finishing up a podcast and hitting publish on that dang thing.
That's right. So, oh, when you hit that publish button, that's a very, very accomplishing feeling when you do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets the endorphins flowing.
That's right. That's right. Well, my personal belief is I think that it's social media is just something that people, the internet in general, is just something our brains are not evolved to handle yet. It's just so new to human civilization. So there's people like me and you that, like, I don't give a shit how you lean politically. I don't care. You're a nice guy. You wanted to come on the show. We're talking about your passions, and that's kind of the whole thing of what I'm trying to do is I try to talk to people who are driven and motivated and passionate about what they do. And, if someone listening to this now, 10 or 100 years from now, is like, you know what? Wow, that's cool. He decided to pursue that, and this sounds like something I'd like to do. He talked about, Rush Premiere and After Effects. I'm going to go look into this, and that triggers someone to go pursue their goals. And, that's what the goal of this, because I think too many people nowadays are just working jobs they don't like, and then it's really easy to distract yourself now as well. It wasn't as easy 50, 100 years ago, as think about from like 1900 to 2000, life became more comfortable, but it also encourages like laziness as well. If you think about someone like, if you're bored, what do? You just whip out your phone and start playing on your board or playing on your phone. You may start hitting, hitting a game or just mindlessly scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or something like that, where, people who were bored, like back in the day, that drove creativity, and so like people will go to their job they don't like, they come home, they'll watch a TV show which isn't doing anything, and then you go to bed, and you never feel that like, that first endorphin or the only endorphins or like adrenaline rush they'll get that day is if they posted a picture of their dog and then got some likes on it. You know what I mean? But that's like not accomplishing anything. And like you said, like when you put something together yourself, you package it and you put it on the internet, like that's a proud, vulnerable, you're taking a risk, you know what I mean? Like that's a pretty intense moment. And when you do that over and over again, who knows what you're capable of. And the internet gives everybody such a unique platform. That's just my, and by the way, diverse inverse. I appreciate you saying that. That's, they said, love this. So whenever you get a love this, see, that's what it's all about, baby.
Yeah. That's actually my friend that I live with. He's up there.
Oh, okay.
He's upstairs there.
Hi, diverse inverse. But I don't know if you agree with any of that, but that's just the way that I think about it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because even when I was in high school, like a freshman in high school, so like just over 14 years ago at this point, I mean, even then there wasn't even as much distractions because we had dial-up internet. What the heck are you going to do on dial-up internet? Wait, so I mean, sure, we had TV, but I felt like even then it was so much easier to like kind of just do what you want, like creative writing or like read or something.
Yeah.
But I agree. It's just that
I think we're back. Okay, we're back. Disconnected for a second.
Cool.
Sorry about that, everybody. But first of all, sorry for your loss. It sucks when you lose someone, close to you like that. And I actually have a similar story. My dad passed away when I was 29, and I was 34, working a dead-end job, and it was kind of unexpected. Well, it was definitely unexpected. But it was a year after his retirement, and he was a truck driver, and that's a pretty miserable life. You're grinding. You're not sleeping a lot. You're sleeping on the road constantly. You're just, hours and hours by yourself. His back was all screwed up. And, that really was a turning point for me. Like you said, too, it was a kick in the ass. Like, what am I doing? And, within 2 months of him passing away, I quit my job, my desk job. I'm like, I'm smart. I'm intelligent. I have a lot of skills. I don't need to be wasting my time, being miserable anymore. Like, I'm out of here, and never look back. And I think sometimes an unfortunate incident like that can really, be a motivating factor. So it's cool to hear you say, obviously I'm very sad, apologetic for your loss, but I mean, sure. I'm happy to hear you say that you use that as a motivating force, because you can go both ways with it. You could also slide into it like definitely. A severe depression and, you have a negative reaction to that as well. But,
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
it's tough stuff, but you got to make the best of a shitty situation.
Yeah.
Really, you got to try to find the silver lining somewhere.
That's right.
But
That's right. You know what? Life's hard. Life's tough. Life's going to come at you. It's going to beat you down. And you just have to deal with it. I think that's just with our society today. Like, everyone's, like, concerned about, like, nerfing the world up, but, like, life's tough. There's no roadmap. You come
yeah.
out and
Mhm.
you just figure it all out. As I get older, and I'm
Yeah.
sure as you get older too, you realize that nobody knows what the hell's going on.
Oh no, yeah, definitely. I've found out as I got older that there is no plan. You just make your own plan. You might have some guidelines here and there, and that's about it.
Yep,
So,
that's right. There's no should. Everyone's like, you should do this. You should do no. You should do what you want to do. That's the only really should that there is. I have so many friends from home that are just like haven't done anything. They're just like, well, I'm 24, so this is it, and they're just gonna ride it out to retirement. And it's like, wow, I can't even believe. Like, if I were to meet 24-year-old version of me, 10 years ago, I'd be like, this is like, what? This is you in 10 years? This is nuts. And
right.
I just can't get how people don't want to better themselves. So I just love the idea of talking to, and I get to do it on a weekly basis of this like little universe that I've created with podcasts. I get to talk to cool people like you that are driven every week, and I try to take something every week from people that I talk to. So like the Rush premiere, that's a game changer because I didn't even know like what a next step in my progression would be. So like, that's something
Yeah.
that you've given me now.
Well, happy to help. And just real quick, if you do want a free alternatives, I got two for you that you can check out too.
Well, every person who comes
It's
on my show is a guest, so we will be in touch. We will talk about it, and
okay,
yeah, what are the two?
cool. So one would be DaVinci Resolve. I hear a lot of good things about that.
I'm writing all this
And
down.
then the other one would be and then the other one would be Hit Film Express. That is also free. That is very Premiere like as well. I kind of dabbled with that one. That one's really nice too.
Awesome, thanks, man. Yeah, and Diverse Inverse said you guys are both right. Too many people get stuck in the routine. The fear of failure is a terrifying, but regret is terrible as well. If you love something, do it. Don't be afraid to be the weird one. Keep it up, guys. Well, appreciate that because you don't have to tell me to be weird. I'm pretty freaking weird. I don't know about you, Alec. I just met you, but are you weird?
Oh yeah, very weird.
I think you have to be kind of weird to kind of just throw yourself onto the internet, right? And just put yourself out there.
Yeah, yeah. You definitely need a degree of weirdness. It doesn't have. There's no right or wrong amount, but you just gotta have some.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? You know what this has taught me? This whole, kind of, branding yourself and going on the internet and doing all this stuff is I have gained a lot of respect for like the Instagram, models and like all these people because like it's like she takes a picture of her ass and that's all she. It's not really true. I mean, they're doing a lot of work behind the scenes to Photoshop it.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? Like if it was that easy, everyone would
sure.
be doing it, right? So it's,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
It's
Well, I was going to ask
it's
you.
kind of the same with streamers. But
That's right.
oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's right. Well, all right, we'll get to that in a second. But I did want to ask you before I forget: is it weird because a lot of people don't like to mix like business and pleasure? A lot of people, have their job and then they have their hobbies, and for you, it's kind of one and the same. So, do you find yourself like getting burnt out at all, or are you? If you're not right now, are you ever scared of that happening?
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that. I would say actually my full-time job has been a great motivator for me in kind of like learning more because like we talked about earlier, I had that issue of having way too many interests and I have no idea which ones to focus on because there was like, oh, I want to get back into programming. Oh, I want to do this. I wanted to get back into 3D modeling. Da, 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 da. What's great about my full-time job is it kind of helps me hone in on which ones I want to focus on because then I'm like, oh, if I hone in on this skill, I can kind of double dip that will not only help my full-time job, but it will also help whatever personal hobby I want to do on the side.
Yeah.
So especially with like the Premiere and After Effects stuff, I want to get better with that because that'll not only help not only me at my job, but just the company as a whole to offer more animation type work for clients. And that would help me because that's something I've been wanting to get more into with whether it's creating Twitch highlights for people or if it's creating like little animations or kind of like the animation that you have for your show, stuff like that. And I do sometimes figure about that burnout, but I think with at least with the podcast, it's different enough where it's not like I'm doing the kind of like the exact same thing.
That's interesting.
Makes sense.
No, that does make sense. I was thinking too, like, you've ever heard of the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell? Have you heard of that before?
I have not.
So it was really interesting, and the concept of that book is it takes 10,000 hours to mastery of something.
Okay.
So what he does is he tries to find patterns of success, like why certain people are successful and why some aren't in doing the same endeavors. And like the book starts out with hockey players, and he talks about how taking it 10,000 hours and like put that in the back of your mind. He was saying, when you're a kid, well, it's based off the year that you were born. Well, you could be born January 1st or you could be born December 31st. Well, that's a year difference. And technically it's not, though, because it's the same year. You know what I mean? So in hockey, you could be 4 years old, but you could be 4 years old on December 31st, where you were only in that year for one day, or you could be 4 years old, but you were born on January 1st of that year. So you basically have a full year development. So when he was he was at a hockey game, and his wife looked at the program and saw that most of the players on the roster were born between January and April, because those had, the earlier part of the year had more development, because, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, 6 months in development of the body is huge. So they may not have been the best players growing up, but they were the biggest, the strongest. So then they're the ones that got selected for the premier teams. So then they got extra hours practicing throughout the week. So then that divergence started there, as kids. So then that allowed them to get the mastery, So even though if it was a 1-to-1, a kid born in December and January, if they got the same amount of practice, that kid in December would have been better maybe, but he never got a fair shot from the beginning because he was like up against kids who had a year development on him already. So it was a lot of interest like that, but I know it was a long way to. So then they get to those 10,000 hours quicker just by default because they're the bigger, stronger, faster kids because they have the more development. But that's what I was thinking for you. If you want to learn a skill, most people have to go to work and then they go home and can work on their skill for like 3 or 4 hours or whatever they want to do. But you have the ability to like work double that, so you can get to like mastery of a skill or great efficiency of it a lot quicker than I think normal people can, and that's a pretty cool advantage.
Yeah, I'm blessed to have that cheat code.
That's right.
Of like the passion is the job and the job's the passion.
Yeah, way to loop that around to video games. That was really good, man.
Yep.
So what school did you go to for all this?
So I went to Ferris State University. It's mostly in Big Rapids, the main campus, but where I took the program, it was the Grand Rapids campus. So like about 15, 20 minutes away from where I am. But
gotcha.
Yeah, so they had the...
Keep going, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No.
Oh, yeah, so it was like just a bachelor's program, and I always loved video games. So I'm like, I would love to create what they do. And it's funny because I originally thought I was going to be going into programming, took the first class, and I was like, nope, this is definitely not for me. So I went towards more of the 3D and 3D animation route, and that's I'm like, this is awesome because you're creating all the visuals and the art and the assets for the games itself. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever heard of Gearbox software before?
Oh yeah, Borderlands.
Yeah, so
they make all that. Yep.
they literally. So where my apartment complex is, I live in Frisco's pretty big, but it's like not a downtown. So I live in Frisco Square, it's called. But Gearbox literally shares a parking lot with us.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I forgot Gearbox is located in Texas.
Yeah. So
awesome.
it's Gearbox, and then there's a bar at the bottom of their building, and it's called Nerdvana, and you would freaking love it because you walk in. And there's just video games everywhere. And they ask you when you walk in, instead of like, would you like a table or a booth? They ask you, what system would you like to play? And you can say whatever system you want. And it's incredible.
Okay.
And they serve all the booze you want, so you just get hammered and play video games. It's awesome.
That sounds amazing. I'm gonna have to make a field trip there.
Yeah, dude.
For sure.
You're more than welcome. It is so cool. So like. We'll just belly up to the bar sometimes and just play Mario Kart and it's
fantastic.
Oh my god, it's so much fun. Yeah. And it's funny because I'm do you know Super Mario Maker 2? Have you ever heard of that game?
Yeah. Yep.
So I started this like goofy kind of it's like it's called the Endless Challenge in the game. So what you do is you just play boards that people made and it's infinite. So there's no ending, and you can get ranked, worldwide. So instead of there's easy, normal, expert, and super expert. Those are the 4 levels.
Oh,
so
geez. Okay.
I just started playing easy because it's just like therapeutic to me. It's like before I go to bed at night, I just kind of veg out and just hit some boards, right? So I'm like, let's see how far I could take this, So I started off in like 190,000th place, in the world. So I'm up to 780 in the world right now. And
oh, wow. Okay.
And I've tried. I mean, they're easy boards. Some of them are just you literally just jump and you finished it, But it's like a lot of people don't play that. Not a lot, but
right.
People don't play that because it's like boring to them. But to me, it's like therapeutic, and I enjoy it. So I'm 790 in the world right now. So when I'll go to Nirvana, I'll be like. I don't mean to brag, but I'm top 1,000 in the world in Super Mario Maker
2. That's amazing.
So I've been streaming that. We have fun. We have fun playing that. Because it's just like you just hang out and talk to people, and everyone's got their own little shtick. But yeah, I enjoy that.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Mario Golf is coming out in a couple weeks. I bought that.
Ooh, yeah. I remember having fun memories with I think it was the N64 golf one that I played.
Yeah, I got all my friends all jacked up on it. They all pre-ordered it too. So June 25th.
Yes.
Coming for you, Lorenzo.
Coming for you. Oh yeah, that will be good times right there.
Yeah, hell yeah. So and forgive me for asking this. I'm sorry. I guess I shouldn't call myself a gamer, but The Last of Us Part 2 and like the games that you play, are those on the PlayStation?
Yeah, yep. So that one is a PlayStation 4 exclusive.
So how pissed off are you?
You could play it on PS5.
How pissed are you that this whole PS5 situation? Do you have one? Were you able to get your hands on one?
I do not. I'm one of probably those few that I'm okay not having one right now because the games that have released on it, as good as they might be reviewing, they're not personally like my taste where I'm like, oh, I need to spend like $500 just to play these games. That I haven't hit that point yet. And I got a PS4 pretty late into its cycle, so I have this incredibly awful backlog of games that I need to play. Like I just finished Resident Evil 7 the other night. And that's been out for like 7 years.
Yeah,
so,
I even knew that's been out for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, I got some catching up to do, so that can wait.
Nice. What's next on the list?
Oh gosh, what is next? I do need to play Cyberpunk, so I think that's probably my next one, and that I have that on PC. So
that game is so interesting to me because of the like controversy around it when it first came out.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
So for those who don't know, Cyberpunk is kind of like futuristic type Grand Theft Auto, I guess you call it.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty sound theme right there. Yeah.
So it came out,
Synopsis.
and they actually had to push it. They delayed it, right? Was that what happened? They said they were going to release it at a certain date, and then they released it. And then when it got released, it had like all these glitches, and
Yeah,
then they pulled it.
It's been through the ringer. This game was announced way back in, oh gosh, I think it was like 2013. There was a teaser trailer for it, and
Wait,
it's
what?
because they were developed. Yeah, there was a teaser trailer for Cyberpunk back in 2013. It was being developed. Yeah, if it's been developed on kind of like at the same time as Witcher 3.
Okay.
But yeah, it was supposed to come out, I want to say April 2020, and then it got delayed, or it might have even been March 2020.
It was right when the pandemic started. I remember that.
Yeah, because then it got delayed to September, then it got delayed again to November, then it got delayed again to December.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yikes.
And obviously, like you said, it came out and it was glitched to hell, and like a lot of people on Xbox and PS4 couldn't even play it, and people were demanding refunds so much that Sony was like, you know what, gonna take it off the PS4 PlayStation.
Yeah,
store.
I remember they pulled it. Yeah.
I don't think it's not on there still yet.
Wow.
It's still off. So it's been pretty rough for good old CD Projekt Red, our friends in Poland over there.
It still looks sweet though. I mean, you see, my problem is I have a very obsessive mentality. Like I don't just like half-ass stuff. I don't just do stuff to do stuff. I just become obsessed with stuff, and I'm aware of that. I know that like I just can't pick up new hobbies, So I got like, have you ever heard of a kendama? Here's an example. Have you ever heard of a kendama? I think it's called a kendama. Let me check. Hold on. Kendama. Let's see. Yes, a kendama. Have you ever heard of this?
Oh yeah, it's the ball and that thing, right?
Yeah,
the little ball and hammer toy thing.
Yep. So I was at the pool the other day, and a couple that lives in the apartment complex, here, super nice couple. We just met them a couple weeks ago. She starts talking to me about it. She's like, "Have you ever heard of the kendama?" And I'm like, "No, I have not." And she's like, "Well, we have one." She brought it out, and she's showing me, and then I literally wouldn't leave until I got it, And then
oh no, okay.
Literally ordered one at the pool. Now I have one. And I spent half my day today just ripping YouTube videos of the World Championships. And I'm like, I gotta learn this. And now I'm just like, I'm gone. So with Cyberpunk, with Cyberpunk, I'm upset. The reason I compared it to Grand Theft Auto is because I love Grand Theft Auto. But once it went online, I'm like, I can't be dealing with this nonsense.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so. Cyberpunk, I know if I got it, I'd be just lock myself in for a year.
That's why I've been kind of like not getting to it quite yet, because I know that no work will get done because that's how it was for me when Elder Scrolls Skyrim first released. There was a day I still remember. I probably played it until 3 in the afternoon until 3 a.m. I played it for like 10 or 12 hours, like that first couple of days that I had it. So it was, I get what you're saying.
Well, you got your comfortable Staples chair, so at least you were comfortable doing it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is very true.
So outside of your digital animations, like your job and streaming and stuff, like. What kind of stuff do you do, outside of that? Any other hobbies, interests that you get going? Yeah,
so I actually messaged you about how I go boxing, Title Boxing Club.
That's right. I'm happy you brought that up.
That.
I completely forgot. I want to talk about that. So, yeah. So, I think a lot of people who are gamers and, are in your world, probably in, let's say our world, don't really focus on exercise enough or at all.
Yeah. It's really easy when you have a desk job or even if you're a full-time content creator, honestly, like streamer, YouTuber, whatever, I think it's really easy to fall into that thing of not exercising or just naturally kind of being kind of more of a recluse. And I think that just kind of comes with the territory with that type of stuff. But yeah, with boxing, that's been a huge help because I hate cardio, and boxing's basically cardio disguised as something fun. And plus it gets all your aggression out, and you're just punching the crap out of a
That's
boxing
intense.
bag,
That's
so
an intense
good.
workout.
Yeah, it's I was wearing my like little Samsung Galaxy Fit thing, and it said I burned like almost 800 calories just from doing a 400 or a 45-minute class. So
Wow. Holy cow.
yeah,
That's
so
crazy.
it's worth it. Yeah, I mean, sure, it might be exaggerated. Who knows? I like to pretend at least it's real and accurate. So
No, I mean I go to F45. I don't know if you know that gym, but me and my buddy go, and he's got an Apple Watch, and it'll say like the same thing. It'll be like you burned 850 calories, and they're 45-minute workouts. So that's interesting that and it's a similar workout. It's you're not stopping. It's like 40 on, 20 off, 40 on, 20, and just bam, 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 bam. And then I have a Garmin 935 because I told you I'm a triathlete, so this is a triathlon watch. And it'll be like, you burn 250 calories. And I'm like, okay. I know I burn more than that, but, I don't know if you burn that many. Maybe we're in the middle there. I don't know. But it still makes you feel good, right?
Right. Right. It does. Yeah. Yeah. It's a great thing. I'm glad that I got introduced to that because it's been a lot of fun. I try to go like 2 or 3 days a week if I can. So
how'd you get into it?
Yeah. So my friend, she was like, oh, I need to bring you to this because it's really fun. She signed up for it. And so I went and did it, and I fell in love with it because it was something that I've always kind of like thought about doing because I like the martial arts type of stuff, but I never, again, kind of probably kind of afraid. I'm like, but once I started it, I was like, oh, this is awesome. It's kind of like a military/boot camp type of thing because you got somebody just yelling at you to do certain combos and stuff, and it's great.
Yeah,
everybody gets amped up.
I think the thing that it sounds attractive to me about it is you don't have to think. Like going to the gym and just being told what to do is just great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's what helps too. Is like there's somebody there that's telling you what to do versus you trying to figure out what you should do.
Yeah, because when you go to the gym, like a lot of times, what happens is, luckily with me, I have a fitness past. Like I was a trainer and all that stuff. But someone like my fiance, for instance, like she wants to work out, but she'll go to the gym, and then she'll just walk around. She doesn't know how to use the machines. She doesn't even know how to like structure her days. So there's a lot of value in those kinds of workouts where you just go and they're like, all right, here's what you do, X, Y, Z, go. Keep up with me. Before you know it, it's over. You didn't realize it was 45 minutes, but it was like the hardest 45 minutes of your day.
Yeah, exactly. And they do a good job of incorporating like kind of like leg exercises, core, and kind of like even just doing body weight exercises like push-ups and stuff. So you kind of get like the full shebang, I guess you could.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Well, what's the gym called?
It's Title Boxing Club. I don't know how out of state they are, to be honest, but I'm sure they got some
Trust
around.
me, I hope there's not one in Texas because you got me all jacked up about it. I'll go be obsessed with that now.
Okay, there's none in Texas. Nope, none.
Perfect. Don't look. There, I already know. Yeah.
Don't even look.
Well, tell you what, Alec, we're coming up on an hour here. And what I always like to do, I think it's a good spot to wrap up here, but what I'm going to do is just put you on the spot one more time. Because I like to talk to you as little as possible before the show. I don't prepare any questions. My pen and paper is just me taking notes about what you've been talking about, just for my own. So it's completely candid. So sometimes people don't know, they get nervous and they're like, I'm going to go to the internet, talk to the stranger, and they prepare stuff. So I always like to say, is there something we didn't talk about, or is there something that you'd like to say, or any piece of advice you'd like to throw out to the universe. This is your chance. Go ahead, my man.
All right. Yeah, I think if I had to leave any advice, kind of just what we talked about, just don't be afraid to try to do the thing that you've been wanting to do, even if you're starting off with like a basic laptop or a basic microphone, or you don't have to have the nicest things to do what you want. And there's plenty of resources out there, more resources probably now more than ever with whatever you want to do. So just do it, because someday you'll be 85 one day, like I said, and won't be able to do that anymore like you wanted to. So don't be afraid. Don't have that imposter syndrome.
And if it doesn't work out, you can just go to Title Gym and beat the hell out of a punching bag for,
Exactly. Exactly. That's all you got to do. If it doesn't work out, just take your aggression out on the bag, I guess.
That's right. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. It's much appreciated, as always. And I'm going to produce this, put it on the internet, throw all of Alec's links in the notes. So make sure you go and follow him. He's a seasoned veteran. He's a professional, so he's definitely worth the follow. And Alec, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for your time.